I've had many conversations over the last couple of weeks with several people who have been going to the eye doctor to get various kinds of eye surgery done. Laser surgery, cataract surgery, all the rest. And I realized that I probably didn't pay close enough attention in biology class, and I didn't really understand how our eyeballs work. So luckily, with the invention of YouTube, I was able to sit and watch some videos so I could get an understanding of how these little miracles work. And the process is actually quite simple, although it is miraculous. It basically comes down to light. When light hits the retina, we have special cells in our eyes that are called photoreceptors that turn that light into electrical signals. And then these signals are sent from the retina through the optic nerve into the brain. And then the brain takes that signal and turns it into an image that we can see. Now, to me, this is nothing short of a miracle. And yet, the process, as straightforward as it is often met with lots of obstacles. Many of us have trouble seeing. I have worn glasses since I was in the 2nd grade, and I'm too much of a fraidy cat to go get some lasers done on my eyeballs, right? So I got these right now. But there are many of us who struggle with sight. There are many of us who struggle with various forms of eye disease and degeneration. And as we get older, it becomes more difficult to see. But you know, even when the conditions are great, even when our eyes are working as good as they possibly can, we are still completely dependent upon light in order to see. Without light, our eyes don't work. You take out all of the light, we see nothing, because our eyeballs use light to see. And we have experienced what it's like to have sight taken from us because there's no light. Go in the middle of the night, you wake up in your room, you hear a bump in the night, and from the time that we're little children, we're afraid. Why? Because we can't see. We don't know what's there. And then our brain starts to imagine all kinds of things that could be going on. Or what about at dusk, when you're driving down I-95 and you see a big, huge moose on the side of the road, right? Until you get closer and realize, oh gosh, that's just a stump, right? Our eyes are not always reliable, and we struggle then with making sense of reality, because reality, at least visible reality, is mediated to us only through our eyes. We need our eyeballs to see, and miraculous as they are, they're not always reliable. They're great gifts, though. We can look at the beautiful sun, we can look at beautiful spring flowers, we can look at beautiful newborn babies. But they're also liabilities, because we can see a lot of ugly stuff in this world too. Frightening, scary things. Go back to your time as a kid. What happens when you see something on TV that's scary? You go through a period of self-induced blindness. I don't want to see. I don't want the light in because I don't want to see that. So my point in all of this is that our eyeballs, as great as they are, no matter how well they're working or not working, are completely dependent upon light in order to see. And even then, the image that we're seeing comes from our brain. And our brains are really affected by our prejudices. What we want to see, we will often see. What we're afraid of seeing, we will often see. The word prejudice comes from the Latin, meaning to prejudge. We're prejudging, we're projecting reality ahead of time. And sometimes that can be very helpful, because if there's a moose on the side of the road, better to be prepared than not. But other times, it can be very detrimental. We can live our lives completely in fear, and we can be expecting the worst from other people and from society. That blindness then moves from the realm of physical sight to moral sight, when we start losing sight of the good and the beautiful in God's creation. Now, what our readings help us to see today, no pun intended, what our readings help us to see today is that God does not see the way that we see. And this is true in the physical sense, but also in the spiritual sense. God has no need of eyeballs, right? He doesn't need any mediation of reality. He is the creator and origin of all that is. So he knows everything and everyone immediately, that is without any mediation. You and I don't have that luxury. We need our eyeballs. But there is something more that God is offering us today. And although we can't have our eyeballs plucked from our head and see anything, he is telling us that the way he sees is something that he can give us. And we can change then the way that we look at reality, looking not with sight, but with faith. God does not see the way that we see. Look at the first reading today from the first book of Samuel. Saul has fallen, and it's time to choose a new king. Who are we going to choose? Well, God has it in his mind who he wants, but he sends Samuel, the prophet, to Jesse of Bethlehem. And Jesse's got a whole bunch of strong young men, his sons, and one of them is going to be the one who's chosen as king. Now, Samuel doesn't know who God has chosen, but he goes to Jesse, and the two of them put their eyeballs and their prejudices immediately to work. They have in their head what they think a king should look like and be like. And so they start to size up the gentleman. And Eliab, one of Jesse's older sons, is the one that Samuel and Jesse settle upon. This has got to be the right guy. He's strong, he's capable, he's handsome. Clearly, he is king material. But then God intervenes and says to Samuel, I don't see the way that you see. I do not judge by appearances. You should not judge by appearances either. I see into the heart. These 7 sons that you've just shown me, these are not the ones that I've chosen. Go grab the pipsqueak out in the pasture, the shepherd boy, David, who's youthful and ruddy, the one that you guys completely overlooked. That's the one that I want to be king. God does not see the way that we see. And we can't blame Samuel and Jesse for not seeing that. But at that moment, God is giving them a gift to see the way that he does. And this then brings us to our gospel today, which is all about sight and blindness, when we encounter the example of the man born blind. Now, this man is blind. He does not have degeneration of his eyes. He never experienced sight. His eyeballs do not absorb light, which means his brain has never put together an image of what reality is. He has lived in darkness his whole life. And the people around him, including the disciples, are already making prejudgments about this man and why this is the case. This is looked at as a terrible curse. And if there's a terrible curse, there must have been a sin committed that's caused this blindness. So the disciples immediately start to ask what everyone else has already been asking. Who's responsible for this poor guy here, this poor blind guy? Who's responsible for his blindness? Is it his sin or the sins of his parents? And Jesus answers and gives them the first glimpse of what it's like to see as God sees. And he says, you guys are listening to your eyeballs and your brains, which are making a correlation between sin and suffering. He says, stop doing that. This man has not sinned, and neither have his parents. But because God sees in a different way, what he is experiencing as weakness, as disability, as blindness, what he is experiencing as a curse, God is using for his glory. And you will soon see the way that God sees. Then Jesus does something interesting and also kind of gross. He goes to the dust of the earth, and we should immediately be thinking of Genesis in this point, because this is how God created the world, right? He took the dust of the earth. He created man and woman from the dust of the earth. And he spits into it. He spits into this dust. Now, the early messianic prophecies said that even the spittle of the Messiah would have healing virtue. So Jesus is making a claim about his messiahship right here and right now. But he's also breathing forth in the physicality of this world, the union of material and spirit. It's a precursor for the sacraments, right? And he's taking this mud and he's smearing it on this guy's face. And then he tells him, go to the pool of Siloam and wash. So the man does. He goes and he washes. And he is able to see. Now, why did Jesus do this? Was it just as a gift to this man? Well, I mean, yes. It was a gift to him personally. Because now he could see the sunset and the flowers and the newborn babies, and he could delight in them, and he could see that it is very good. But he also has the same liability as all the rest of us do, which means we also see the ugliness. He can now see the scribes and Pharisees who are giving him a really hard time. He can see the suffering and the death of this world. Did Jesus give him his eyeball sight for that? No. This was all about so much more. Jesus is giving him the gift of faith, which requires light to see. And Jesus makes the claim that he is the light by which the human, not eyeballs, can see, but the human spirit can see. And the darkness and the shadows that this chases are not the physical darkness and shadows that we experience at nighttime. They are the shadows of weakness. They are the shadows of sin. They are the shadows of our prejudices, our prejudgments. And he presents now light that allows this man and all of those who are gathering around, who are coming to faith, to see the way that God sees, to see that this man is now being used for the glory of God. Now, my friends, what does this mean for us? Well, it means that we have to fundamentally change the way that we make sense of reality. If we are only using our eyeballs and our brains, we are not going to see what really is. We will see shadows, we will see darkness, we will see suffering, and yeah, we'll see flowers and babies and beauty too. But there's more than all of this. There's a whole world of mystery that extends beyond that we see by faith. And when we see by faith, we can then see that these human weaknesses that we think shackle us down, that hold us back, God can use for his glory and also for our benefit, for our flourishing. This is a great gift that he gives to those who present themselves to him and say, Lord, I want to see. Now, the other interesting part of this is what Jesus tells the man to do. As I said, this was a precursor for the sacraments when he takes the mud of the earth, right, and puts it in his face, taking the raw stuff of reality, right, just like oil, bread, wine, fire. He's taking these, and then he's telling the man to go do something, to go to the pool of Siloam. And we are told in the gospel today what the word Siloam means. It means sent. Now, do you know how you translate that in Latin? Missa. You know how you translate missa into English? Mass. Mass. Jesus is telling us to go to Mass, where he takes the things of this earth, preeminent among them, bread and wine, and he speaks into them. And then he gives them to us. He puts them into our faces, into our mouths, into our souls. His light, the light of his presence, the light of his glory. And he gives us then the ability to see in a way that the world doesn't. That's why we come week after week, because we are told, go to Siloam, go to Mass. But the word sent means that we don't just stay here and twiddle our thumbs. We come, we receive, and then we go. We are sent. That's what the word missa means. It's where our word mission comes from. Go forth. The Mass is ended. Get out of here and go do what this blind man did. Go tango with the scribes and Pharisees who are blinder than bats and they don't even realize it. Go and make known through your life, through your words, through your conversion, through your joy, the gift that Christ has given you. And bring others then to faith in him as well. My friends, today we're celebrating Laetare Sunday. You notice I'm wearing a different color today. Only twice a year do we see this color. This is the rose color. And that's because today is a great feast of light. We've been trudging our way through Lent, which really is our experience of life in general. Darkness, heaviness, somberness, that heavy purple we've been wearing for the last couple of weeks, signifying the trudgery, the toil, right, that sin has brought to us, that repentance requires of us. But today, light is thrown into the liturgy. It's thrown onto my vestments. And when you add light to purple, you get this rose color. When you add light to the cold death of winter, you get flowers. And when you add light to the people of God, you get newborn children. And you can see that underneath all of the superficiality of darkness and death is the promise of life and resurrection. We have two children here today who will soon be those newborn babies. At Easter, they will be baptized in the pool of Siloam. They will be baptized at the Mass, where they will be given this great gift. And we are going to celebrate the second scrutiny for them today as they come to faith in Jesus, as we all have, as the man born blind has done. And we pray with them and with the man born blind today the very words that we will sing in our closing hymn today, the hymn Amazing Grace, which we all know and love. We will say these words, and Tori and Steph, I hope these words will be yours today too. I once was blind, but now I see.